Hi guys! Today we're going to be learning about energy flow in our ecosystems. Some of the things in this lesson you may have learned about before, but bear with me. Some of it we have to review in order for you to understand the topics that are new to us. First, we need to just review what a producer is versus a consumer. A producer is an organism that makes its own food or source of energy. These are also called autotrophs. Things like plants and algae, those would be considered producers. The opposite of that would be a consumer. A consumer is an organism that eats another organisms to get its energy. These are also called heterotrophs. Any kind of animal or anything that doesn't do photosynthesis to make its own food. Now, there are multiple kinds of consumers, so we're going to talk about the 4 different types that you should know. The first is an herbivore. Herbivores are organisms that only eat plants, like a deer. The second would be a carnivore, which only eats other animals. The third would be an omnivore, which can eat both plants and animals. And the last would be a detritivore, which eats dead organic matter. These are things like earthworms, that when things die and go into the ground, the earthworms eat it. Okay, what we're going to mostly be focusing on today is energy flow, which is the movement of energy from one organism to another. In our ecosystem, it's very important for you to understand that our energy only flows in one direction. Our energy flows from the sun, or chemical compound, whatever the organism is using to produce its food, to autotrophs or producers, and then to various heterotrophs. We're going to look a lot at energy flow between organisms in this lesson. Okay, so again, energy flows in one direction. In this scenario, energy is flowing from the sun to the plants, and then to the caterpillar, and then to the chicken, and then to the coyote. That picture that you just saw is an example of a food chain. A food chain shows how matter and energy move through your ecosystem. It shows this in a series of steps, which shows each organism with energy being transferred by eating the last one. This is another example of a food chain. Food chains show what organisms eat other organisms. In this picture here, we start off with a plant or producer, which gets eaten by the grasshopper, which gets eaten by the bird, which gets eaten by the snake, which gets eaten by the owl. Energy is flowing from the plant all the way through that chain to the owl at the top. Now, when you put a bunch of food chains together and show all of the possible relationships in a community, that's called a food web, and that's what this is. It's just a bunch of food chains that you put all together because sometimes organisms can fit into more than one food chain. When you look at a food web, it is important for you to realize that the arrows are showing you the direction that energy is flowing. In this picture here, energy is flowing from the seaweed to the crab. From the crab to the squid. The arrow always points towards the direction of movement of energy. Okay, now the next word that we need to know is trophic levels. Trophic levels are any class of organisms that occupy the same position in a food chain. So trophic levels, for example, all of your producers together are one trophic level. All of your primary consumers together are one trophic level. Let's go ahead and go over what these other words, primary consumer, secondary consumer, and tertiary consumers are. Okay, let's go back to our example with the plants and the caterpillars and the chicken and the coyotes. In this example, our plant is a producer. It's an organism that makes its own food. It doesn't rely on anything else in order for it to survive except for the sun and water and carbon dioxide because it has to do photosynthesis. The thing that eats a producer is called your primary consumer. This is the very first organism that is going to consume something else. The organism that consumes the primary consumer is a secondary consumer, and then the secondary consumers get eaten by the tertiary consumers. Okay, so the words kind of give you a clue as to where they fit in the chain. Primary, secondary, tertiary. Now sometimes you can have 4, which is called quaternary, and we'll look at an example of that here in just a second. Okay, but in this example, your energy flows from the producer to the primary consumer, and then to the secondary consumer, and then to the tertiary consumer. So let's look at that example of the food web that we had a minute ago. Let's look for our producers, our primary consumers, our secondary consumers. We'll start off with producer. In this picture, there are a total of 2 producers. Those 2 producers are seaweed and phytoplankton. Now, when you look for producers, you're going to want to look at towards the bottom of the food web, and you're going to want to look for things that don't have any arrows pointed towards them. Energy is never going to flow to them because this is where the energy starts. Okay, to find our primary consumers, we're going to look for everything that eats the seaweed or the phytoplankton. So in this picture, we've got zooplankton, krill, and we've got crabs. Those 3 together are all of the primary consumers. They make up a trophic level. Next, we've got secondary consumers. We want to see what are all the organisms that eat the primary consumers, eat the zooplankton, the krill, and the crab. If we look at this picture, fish eat both of these, blue whales eat the krill, and squid eat the crab. So those organisms, fish, blue whale, and squid, would all be secondary consumers. Now, tertiary is where it gets a little bit tricky because we want to look for the organism that is 4th in the chain. So if we look here at this chain of phytoplankton to zooplankton to fish to seagull, seagull would be my tertiary consumer. If we look phytoplankton to zooplankton to fish to leopard seal, that would be a tertiary consumer. Anytime you go 4 chains in your food chain, that's tertiary. If we look at this food chain, you can find some that are higher than tertiary. Like I said, sometimes there's one called quaternary, which would be 5 spots up. So if we look here, we've got phytoplankton, and then zooplankton, and then fish, and then seagull, and then leopard seal. That would be quaternary. And then even further than that, we've got killer whale. Now, it is very, very rare to have 5 consumers. That's very rare. And we're going to talk about why that is here in just a moment. But most of the time when you look at this food web, you're going to find your producers, primary consumers, secondary consumers, tertiary consumers, and then sometimes you'll also find quaternary. Now, why do they normally stop there? This has to do with the amount of energy that is being transferred between each level. In order to study this, we're going to look at something called energy pyramids. Energy pyramids are a diagram that compares the energy used up by producers, primary consumers, and all the other trophic levels. If we look at this pyramid, we start off with producers at the bottom. They have the most amount of energy. Okay, the next step up, our primary consumers have the next most amount of energy. And then carnivores. And then our top predators here at the top of the pyramid have the least amount of energy. The way that we figure this out is through something called the 10% rule. The 10% rule states that the amount of energy that can be transferred from one level to the next is only 10%. So let's say that in this pyramid right here, I've got my grass at the very bottom. Let's say they've got 1,000 kilocalories of energy. They got a ton of energy. When the next level, the grasshoppers, our primary consumers, eat that grass, they're only going to get 10% of that energy. So their amount of energy is only 100 kilocalories. When we move up to the next level, our secondary consumers, they are only going to get 10% of what the grasshoppers have. So their amount of energy is only 10 kilocalories. And then if we look at this last level, our top predator there, they're only going to get 10% of the secondary consumer. So at the end, they only end up with 1 kilocalorie of energy, whereas the grass all the way at the bottom only has a whole 1,000 kilocalories of energy. So you can see there's a very large difference between the amount of energy at the bottom of the pyramid and the amount of energy at the top of the pyramid. We only move up 10% of the energy to the next level. The rest of the energy is going to get lost to the environment in the form of heat. So I'm going to move 10% up the pyramid and lose 90%. And then move 10% of that up and lose 90% as heat. Now I want to give you a visual of what this looks like so you can kind of get a better idea as to why we can only have so many organisms in our chain. In this visual, we're going to be using colored water to help us visualize the amount of energy found in an organism. We're going to use the same pyramid that was on the last slide of the 10% rule. So at the bottom of our pyramid, we had grass, and grass contained 1,000 kilocalories of energy. So let's say that this represents our grass. This is the amount of energy that's in the grass, it's green water. Okay, now let's say that that grass gets eaten by a grasshopper. When the grasshopper eats the grass, 10% of this energy is going to get transferred to the grasshopper. So this would be the amount of energy that the grasshopper gets, 100 kilocalories of energy. Now let's say that that grasshopper gets eaten by a mouse. When the mouse eats the grasshopper, the mouse is going to get 10% of the energy that was inside the grasshopper, which looks like this. This is 10 kilocalories of energy. Okay, so let's say that our mouse gets eaten by a bird. When that bird eats the mouse, it's going to get 10% of this amount of energy. It's going to get 1 kilocalorie of energy. Make sure you can see that. Really small amount of energy. Okay, now let's say this right here, our bird is our tertiary consumer. Let's say that our food web has one more level and we have a quaternary consumer. Let's say that this bird gets eaten by a bigger bird. It would get 10% of that amount of energy, which would be about this much. Okay, I want you to compare the amount of energy that's in our quaternary consumer and the amount of energy that's in our grass, our producer. Look at the difference. Oh, it's kind of heavy. Okay, the reason why our food chains can't continue to go on and on and on and on is because eventually we're not going to have enough energy. This is barely enough energy for this one organism. Imagine if we were to give 10% of that to the next one, and then 10% of that to the next one. Eventually, you're not going to have enough energy. So our ecological pyramids typically only go up to tertiary consumer or quaternary consumer. Now, what we're going to do next for this module is you're going to do some practice with food chains, food webs, types of producers, and the 10% rule. And then you will have an assignment that has to be turned in by Sunday. This assignment is again going to be a Google assignment. So if you have trouble with that, please let me know. I will help you get that sorted away. And as always, you are more than welcome to come see me for tutoring, my Zoom tutoring twice a day, 10 to 11 in the morning or 2:30 to 3:30 in the afternoon. Stop by, ask your questions, or just stop by and say hello. Let me know if you need anything. You guys have a great rest of your day.